Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So back in the evening of April here, and I'm coming on to try to tackle the rolling first, and we'll see how that goes. And if I have some time, I will take care of offloading at least some slurry, if not all of it again, because it really does just take 2 runs, so it's not too bad. Definitely pretty full with the trees here. Alright. Should get us out. We'll head out this way. And I think this will be the best way to go, because I can go up and down this side of the field first, which will allow me to go through both sets of crops on this end. Although, well, I really do need to go down this way as I think about it, so I think I'll actually line up and do that first. Get my headland taken care of. Just make sure. Alright, it is working, it's just it was confusing because it really doesn't look different in any way here. Alright, I'm worried I was not moving at the right angle, but did eventually get over there, so we're good. I guess I can see a little bit of difference on the crop, but it's honestly not that significantly different. Goodness. It's very easy to get that roller to pull away further than we'd like, that's for sure. So yeah, the key here is really to try to get the stones pushed back into the ground so that we don't do any damage to the harvester, which is one of the more expensive pieces of equipment. Because obviously I don't know that the tractors, I'm just not really sure how Farming Simulator models this as far as damage to the equipment, because you would think the tractor, it's just wheels rolling over stones, so it really shouldn't have an impact. I'm assuming the planters, the other things, are what then are the problem. You know, but you can see now that I'm kind of rolling over the plowed area that I had before, you know, it looks very similar to what we planted. The only difference is, like, now there were some stones, now those stones are gone. I'm assuming, yeah, it doesn't really change that overlay of the fertilizer. You can see where we had plowed. Up above that, we've got basically some rolled field from when we had done it before. So, and then I need to kind of come back one more time. The challenge now, however, will be I can't really see very easily what I rolled over, because it looks very similar to what I had planted. So that's definitely where it's going to get a bit interesting. Let's see if once I get on the field, I think I would say it's kind of the more distinctive lines, or kind of the fuzzier texture, I guess I would describe it as. So, and it looks like lighter gray is where we hadn't rolled. So I just, again, want to make sure I'm not missing any, so I'd rather overlap some than run the risk of having an issue that way. So yeah, the hope is, obviously the harvester's a pretty expensive piece of equipment, and if I can take care of that so that I don't have those repairs, yeah, that should certainly help things substantially, and is the benefit of the rolling, aside from the slight improvement, I think, because of compacting the soil around the seed and allowing it to, I assume, take root and germinate and grow more robustly than in loose soil, where maybe it, I guess, can't get its root system going appropriately, or, you know, I'm not quite sure exactly how rolling helps increase the yield, because obviously if it was just pushing rocks down, you know, that's more of foregoing expensive maintenance through equipment damage, or accelerated equipment damage, which is really what happens. So there's again another pile, and now in theory that pile is gone. And obviously as we look at things on the map, you know, we'll see, gotta kind of be zoomed in to see the rocks, but you're starting to see the fertilizer shine through, because needs rolling is then gone. But yeah, let me get the GPS lines up here, and then we'll line her up and we'll start moving up and down, and then we should be good. At the other end we can turn around. It doesn't really matter if we pre-roll the field, as we've discovered. Oops. So we'll cycle around here. Again, obviously we're pre-rolling some there, but as obviously we've shown, it doesn't have an impact of any kind on the actual field until you plant, because that's when needs rolling shows up no matter what. So I'll explain that in a bit. Again, you may have to go and re-look at some old video that I had. So at this point we're still where we rolled. Now we've crossed that boundary. There goes the set of rocks. You know, that set of rocks just kind of almost looks like it just becomes dirt. So you can see these, and now they'll vanish along with that. And it's this part of the field that certainly has a lot more. Like clearly up here we've got a bit more sporadic. But down here, if you go back and look at where I rolled the potatoes, you know, kind of both here and here, I had gone into the field, and you can see that it's not giving me any credit for rolling early there. So, you know, just like we've got a gap here where I didn't plant, it's not telling me I require rolling. And so, you know, we'll obviously see that update as I go here, but there's that gray line that I don't get any credit for. So I don't want to roll over the potatoes again, because I don't want to risk any crop damage. So once I start getting past the center, I'll definitely, you know, kind of take a different path, finish up the bottom, and then obviously head over and do that one side. So the trick is, however, we've got you know, a little over an hour and a half before things roll over, and then typically what I've seen happen is once I get that initial germination of the crop, it won't let me roll. It won't give me credit at that point. So I'm hoping this will not take me more than the hour and a half that I have. That was part of the risk I had. You know, as I said, I didn't have time to do that before this, so, but I want to make the effort at least, and if I don't make it, I don't make it, and it will, you know, have the impact where it does. But if I kind of focus on getting through to the islands here and then focus on the bottom first, whereas we said the rock issue is more prevalent here. You know, if I run out of time up here and here, we're just talking about 3 rocks. But like here, I think I almost came up to those when I rolled. And again, didn't get any of that benefit where it's not telling me I don't need to roll, so. But then I'm thinking what will be left in the crops this year is going to be the second round of fertilization, which I should be able to do anytime after tomorrow, or after today, but so starting with tomorrow is what I meant. And since this field was plowed, it seems in FS22 that weeds don't get planted with seeding. Specifically, they more happen with harvest, because that first year after I had plowed, I didn't have to worry about any weeds. So I'm hopeful that that will be the case here, and that I can just focus on you know, other things, frankly, just, you know, not necessarily even in here, because I don't know that I'll have a lot of work. So, you know, the age-old discussion I've been having with myself is, you know, do I expand to additional animals? So I did run some tests on both sheep and chickens, just to get an understanding of what it looks like. So the reality is both of them spawn more pallets than we're allowed to have on the server. So even if I was to get rid of the bees, I have to monitor either one of those adequately to the point where I don't get more than 2 pallets sitting on the server at a time. It is the target that we'd be asked to maintain. So, and what I did determine is wool comes out at a slower pace than the eggs do, as far as the number of pallets. Again, the challenge with chickens is it gives you the number of pieces and the weight, but it doesn't tell you the liters of eggs you have. You really kind of determine that when you take it to market and sell it. So what I did see with one of the larger chicken house, which, you know, might be what I might have, which I think takes like 360 chickens or something, is once it was full, it generated about a pallet of eggs. I swear it seemed like it was generating a pallet of eggs an hour. But it may not have been generating a pallet an hour. I think I was just getting the warning that there was no place to put things. But I think it was still like within a day or two it had filled. And for eggs, I think it does at least 4 pallets. And so they're there in a day or two. Now the sheep, I think, do 6 or 8 pallets, but those tended to appear at the rate of 1 a day, so that I could, you know, kind of check every other day and still kind of stay within the acceptable FSN limits to not overburden and create server stress. So that is to say, then, I think if I was to do anything, what would make the most sense would be sheep. because I think I could keep up with the wool easier than I could keep up with the eggs. The question, however, still becomes, like, you know, is it lucrative enough and so forth? And, you know, frankly, as I've gotten a couple extra active series moving on the farming simulator side with the survival series and now the VIP series, and I'm certainly, again, very intrigued with the VIP series. The survival series I've certainly done before, so the curiosity for me is really not there at the same level as the VIP series, which is a totally new gameplay mode for me, and, you know, just not sure how everything will play out, because I think I'm at the point where I may need multiple years to get enough crop off the fields I have, the way I'm playing, or where I'm playing, the map I'm using, to make some progress, where right now, you know, we were able to fill an order very quickly, and then I think, you know, we're a month or two, i.e. a day or two, in-game before I can harvest the other crops that I need to finish the other piece of the level 1 order. But all of that is kind of to say, you know, there's other farming simulator things even that I'm looking at, and you know, I've talked about that before. If all I'm doing is this, and that becomes 100% of my farming simulator time, there's always going to be kind of a draw and a little bit of a disappointment of, hey, I'd like to have some variation even in the farming simulator piece. So I'm still hesitant, therefore, to throw in anything else. But it somewhat feels, you know, I'm a little bit torn in that I know I have that downtime, but that downtime I think will be a good way to fill in the other series and kind of stay on schedule so that I can keep producing them at the pace that folks have gotten used to on the channel that I've kind of committed to, which is in essence somewhat weekly, at least, output, to, you know, because the survival series has been coming out on Fridays. It's been coming out on weekends, Friday or Saturday, depending on what the farming simulator day would be with the every other day. So it's basically 6 days or 8 days apart. And then for now, I'm starting to settle into like a midweek slot with the VIP series, and it just appears as an additional video in the afternoon at that point. So it just ends up being 2 videos, and sometimes it's, you know, 2 farming simulator videos, and other, you know, the other weeks then it will be you know, appearing with a non-farming simulator video in that same day. So what I started to do to kind of get enough VIP series out there, which, if you're, well, at this point, by the time this debuts, will be weeks and weeks down the road, but right now, you know, even the survival series has got a backlog out there that is already published, that's just waiting to, or is already uploaded, that is just waiting to kind of, you know, be published per the YouTube terminology. That is finally when folks are able to see it on the channel. So they're all scheduled. Everything kind of drops at 7 a.m. Is where I had the schedule, and as I said, the VIP series is going to change that. So to be able to do that and not feel overwhelmed, and then still have time to potentially do the other sims that I enjoy doing, and I've started to play around a little bit. I don't think it's going to turn into anything on the channel because I'm not looking to do it beyond the free trials at this point, but I got a free 3-month Xbox Game Pass on the PC pass that I got sent by Microsoft, and so I've signed up for that, and then that is giving me some time to finally actually play with Flight Simulator, which I haven't touched since it probably first came out, and found it extremely, extremely difficult. And the little bit I've done with it, which is maybe 4 or 5 of the training missions, I still find it extremely, extremely difficult. So I don't know that that's a sim I would actually invest money into and then try to keep working at, because it's just something I don't know that I would want to add to the mix. And then there's some other games that I'm playing with there, but again, just having that time, along with, as I know I've mentioned before, I enjoy iRacing and so forth, so there's just a lot of things I do with the leisure time, and we're back in that same point of Misty Hills not becoming everything I do in Farming Simulator, because even for, I think, interest on the channel, I think folks are looking for some variation in what they're seeing in Farming Simulator and on any channel. And even though I'm not devoting the channel 100% to FS, there's even more of a reason to look at other options to not overburden myself. So I am going to hold off on anything for now, but I've at least done the research that if somehow I get to the point, and it could become that I just decide, all right, pigs aren't working for some reason, and sheep are the thing, because the benefit of sheep over pigs is they produce a product, and so I can just let the sheep be, and I don't have to keep running to sell them unless I want to, and in the interim they're giving me something, where the only thing the pigs give me is slurry, which doesn't make a whole lot, where wool obviously does make a lot. It's thousands of dollars per 1,000 liters, and as I said, I think we get basically a pallet, which is 1,000 liters, pretty much on a daily basis. So like every 2 days I'd get 2,000, where with the bees, I need multiple pallets to get to that level, so, and they take more than a day, so I think they produce more than the bees. And I'm, what I'm unsure of, because what I didn't really look and test was, is a fully matured sheep, say $1,200 as well, just like a fully matured pig. Alright, so we're getting really close. I'm not sure, again, in that center area, if I'll be able to go straight, or if I'd be overlapping the potatoes. I'm pretty sure I'll be overlapping the potatoes, so I don't think I'm going to do that. So I'll just have to be careful there. But the good news is, it's, only been like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading the time wrong, but I think it's only been like 10 minutes. Maybe it's been 20 minutes. But either way, I'm still sitting at just under an hour and a half, and I've basically got, with this pass, I'd say, half the field done if I was doing all of this. And again, the potatoes aren't being done over here. So I think we're good to get done before the day rolls over, which is excellent, excellent news. I was just worried it would be too late to finish it all, but I think I'm actually going to be okay. And yes, I'm clearly lining up. It's actually probably going to be closer than I think, but either way, it's I do need to move over to the right so that I don't run over and potentially kill potatoes, which would really be sad, and the last thing I want to do. Not that I ever want to kill crops, but certainly when I'm desperately trying to get enough to not have to buy pig food anymore, I don't want to kill off some of the food I'm growing, because that would kind of be counterproductive to what I'm trying to get accomplished. But yeah, now that we're coming up, you can see I'm probably overlapping, 5 meters or something. I guess I don't really want to move over quite yet. But once I start hitting this, there we go. Now we'll swing over. But yeah, you can see it's 3 or 4 rows that we'd be running over. And even this is going to roll a little bit of a field. I don't think, well, actually, I think we rolled it on the other end. It's the rolling that happened when I was doing the potatoes. Alright, so at this point, now we can lock back in. We'll get that little set of rocks there by the island. And then we will start, we'll come back up, but then we'll run along the island and get this bottom part done. So the piece, as I said, that I was really focused on, the bottom here that has a lot more rock that has come up in the plowing, will absolutely be taken care of even before 2300, I think. So at this point, I'm going to finish this up. I'll jump back when I'm done with that, and if I'm still up for it, I will take care of the slurry. If not, I guess I'll let it sit there, but at this point I think the pigs are full up again, and I think the game doesn't like that much either, so. But anyway, I'll see you in a bit. Alright, so I've gotten the rolling done. About a half an hour to spare. Just kind of cleaning up stuff here. So I've got to grab the truck to get the tanker to get the slurry, but in the meantime, I'm going to get these seeds into the silo, because as we mentioned, we ended up taking some out to fill the seeder earlier. So these should now all easily go into the silo. There we go. So now they're empty and stored. Put this away. So we've got that parked, and we'll go grab the tanker. So definitely a late night today, but yeah, not only is the slurry full, but the food's getting dangerously low. So to not lose any productivity, I'm also going to go ahead and grab some pig feed. And I'm almost starting to wonder if I really should fill it up again, because, we're still talking 4 or 5 days, but I can always go get more pig feed, I guess. So we'll do the same thing. We'll fill it to about 25,000 plus or so, because this is about 51,000 liters of slurry here. Alright, so that is more than half, but we'll get that emptied out. You can see the health is still good, so having full slurry doesn't suddenly stop them from being healthy, which is good, because they were completely full. We had 51,300 liters. So the pigs generate a lot of slurry, that is for sure. And so more than likely we're going to get, maybe $1,000 out of this, if even, for the 51,000 liters of slurry. But it's still, it's still money back, so. It's not going to be enough to buy the pig food we need, but, right now we've basically gone down from the 1.3 million because of buying seeds and and those consumables. So we'll see if I remember this time, because I always run into PV Mart and you know, just have a issue with that, missing the road. So no, but I'm trying to think, because I think this morning I was at about 13,000 liters of pig food, and now we're at about 9,000. So that means they're consuming over 4,000 liters a day. So 32,000 liters would be 8 days, so we definitely don't need 8 days of food. But I was initially just going, I think I went too far again. I did. I do not understand why I cannot make that turn. I think it's because it doesn't really feel like a road. It feels like it's too early, and it also, I think, goes through the residential space. So that doesn't help, but again, we can get through here from the back. Obviously, it's 11:30 at night, so it's not like we got all kinds of cars and stuff driving around here. So we'll come through this way again. We've done it before. There we go. Gets us where we need. It's just obviously much easier to do from the other location. So get this sold. Doesn't empty quite as fast as it fills, because we were up to that 29,000 quite quickly. So there you go. Well, we got almost 1,000 there, so not bad. I don't know, maybe I was not remembering what we made off the slurry before. I kind of slipped a bit. I don't know what, if I hit that curb, or if that was a curb. It was hard to tell from the angle we were at. So yeah, I know when they did maintenance on the server, there was some issue with cotton bales, and I think there's still some issue with pallet storage or something. So, which I think they said they'd fix in the next maintenance. Which I think just happens on a monthly basis, so for folks who are having those issues. But we're not growing cotton, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, we've gone from being not very busy on the farm to suddenly having a ton to do. And some of it has to do, again, that we're accelerating by a lot, frankly, the ability to be self-sustaining on the pigs. Because if we had stuck with our original schedule, I would have planted a crop this year, I would have planted a crop next year, and then I would have planted a crop after that. So we likely would have been like 3 years out still before we were self-sustaining on the pigs and just continuing to buy pig food. And at the pace we're going, I think we're having to feed those pigs twice a year, or pretty close to it. Because like I said, if they're going through 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 liters a day, obviously, well, I need to go get the slurry. I'm like heading back to my storage area or something there, because to get the pig food I need the crampy back again. Alright, so we'll get this filled up with whatever's left, which should probably be just barely over 20,000, if even. There you go, 21,813, 43%. So, you know, we would have planted, say, potatoes now. Then those are going to get harvested in the fall, like we saw. Then we'd probably, you know, we could either plant sorghum or You know, but basically anything we planted, as we can see, they're on the same cycle. So basically we would have planted one crop, then we would have waited till next spring to plant the next one up here, and then we would have waited next spring to plant the crop after that. You know, the difference we'll have going forward, if everything works, the problem then becomes is, you know, am I truly in a cycle where I'm just growing food for the pigs and then maybe selling the leftovers, which is okay if I need to do that. Because I would imagine if I grow a full field, and I am not growing a full thing of potatoes again. I mean, let's just be clear. Like, I'll do potatoes as I need them, but you know, it's probably going to be on the scale at best of what we've done this time. I'm not going to do 2 million liters of potatoes or whatever that was that we got out of here when I did the whole field. Now, what I hope I don't find is that, you know, that I need something crazy like that. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we get 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 liters of potatoes out of the space we planted. So, I mean, we should at least get 200,000. And so I'm thinking that's going to be, you know, 10 cycles, maybe. Well, I don't know. Because at this point, like we saw, it was like 6,000 liters was maybe 20%. So, you know, that means maybe we're talking about 30,000 liters to fill. Now this is the road. Now let me not spin out, but I will. So I was going way too fast. Goodness. Alright, well, this is going to take a little bit of effort. Let me straighten this out. Alright, so those hedges actually have collisions. Luckily I stopped before I got hung up on them, but basically I kind of climbed on top of them a little bit. But my truck didn't get stuck. But, you know, so the thing is, like right now, if I buy 32,000 liters total of food, which again is divided amongst at least 4 pieces, or 4 sections. So if we take a look where we're at, you know, this is 4,600, and like I said, you know, this might be 15%. So if we say this entire thing is 30,000, you know, because the root crops only provide 5% of the food, thinking if I put in 30,000 liters of root crops, like, I'm gonna have them for a long, long time. I hope. But even if I didn't, you know, let's say, because we were doing 32,000 liters, and let's say that's giving us, you know, let's, I guess, be somewhat conservative and say it's giving us 6 days. So let's say it gives us literally half a year, 6 months. You know, and then if I'm kind of equally dividing that amongst everything, you know, it's 8,000 liters of each type of food. So, you know, I need like 16,000 liters. So if I get even 200,000, you know, 16,000 liters is in theory a year. So if I get 200,000, that's, in theory, I might have 10 years of potatoes, which would be terrific if I could do that. Because even if I go back to, I'm doing one crop, and that would certainly be a quiet year, but again, you know, I could focus on other activities, you know, change the mix of content on the channel for a bit, you know, for that yearly cycle here, because I'm not going to fall into the position of I'm just growing way too many potatoes. I mean, what may ultimately happen is I may choose to plant a section of field with a full crop, like I've been doing with north-south, and then truly use that center section as I've talked about, and make that potatoes, and then, you know, harvest that every once in a while. And so on whatever year that is, you know, that'll be a slightly busier year, because I'm going to have a potato harvest here of 4 or 5 acres, or, you know, maybe even 10 acres, whatever it is. But I don't know that that'll be overwhelming. You know, and I think, again, when I measured it, it was 5 acres. So it's basically 10% of what I did. So, you know, with the harvest being, you know, let's say I had no help. So with the harvest being 20 hours on the potatoes instead of the 14 we had with the help I had, you know, that'd be, given that it's about a tenth of the acreage that we planted, you know, we'd be reasonably assuming that then I could get that harvest done in 2 hours. You know, so if I have 2 hours of potato harvest plus, you know, 4 hours of regular harvest, you know, that's not too bad. And again, that might happen once every 10 years, as we said, so it's not going to be substantial. Let me straighten this out, get out of here, disconnect. Alright, now we need to go back, like I said, and get the crampy. And once I connect up there, I'll take a look again and see, you know, we'll try to make an educated guess of what we're looking at. Because basically, if we're saying it's making 6 days, we're saying we're doing a little over 5,000 liters a day. Which might be accurate, because, you know, I think when I got on this morning, it was probably 6 or 7 a.m. Well, it might have been 8 a.m. But still, you know, we're literally, you know, 2/3 of the day in, and we're at like 4,000. Well, I do need to hook the hoses up, or we're not going to be able to move and operate. Let's go to the animals. Actually, let's go to the crop calendar. So at this point, we're on soybeans. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And I think, yeah, they're the far one, because we have potatoes, sorghum, soybeans. So if I do 6 months, although I'm saying that basically those pigs are taking 6 months, like in 6 months they're eating all that food. Alright, so maybe we will get a full load again. We'll buy 32,000 liters. It just seems like too much, but now that I'm seeing I do have 6 months, because I was really thinking I had 4, but once again, I need all the food types to be able to feed the pigs without pig food. So we'll do that, and if it ends up being a little bit extra, then so be it. So I'm going to go ahead and get the food. I'm going to get 32,000 liters, and I'll see you back here at the farm. I changed my mind. Surprise, surprise. I'm sure you're like, no, that never happens. I just got 24,000 liters because basically it occurred to me that I would fill this normally, and we're pretty darn full, so that got us kind of right there. We might be able to fit 33,500 liters in here. I don't know. You know, so you can see, like, you know, our effectiveness is full, but I don't know if that means, like, this is the cap I would have when I'm filling normally. So once again, if this is what I'm looking at to get through half a year, like, I need basically 3,000 liters a year. But if my estimate was right that this is getting me like 6 days, it's certainly getting me probably 5. My thought was, well, I had 9,000, so I'm already going to be, you know, 1,000 liters higher than I normally would. So I decided, let's just do 24,000. And if I need to get a little bit more at some point, you know, the last day to get them a few thousand liters more to make it, I'll do that. But I'm optimistic. I think we're going to be in good shape. I don't know that we're going to need anything else. And then, you know, we'll again continue to learn more about the pigs. Like, because I would like to think, like, that I could just top each of those food sources up, and that it would take that, and then it would just keep working at it. But my guess is, what I'm likely to see is if I mix the food properly to get total effectiveness, I need half, you know, 50% of one and so forth. I think once I get to that 33,000, whatever, you know, it might be 34,000, might go to 35. I don't know. I don't think so, because that line looks like too much of a sliver. I'm half tempted to say it might be 33,300. But, you know, so I'll just have to kind of live and learn on how that all works into the pig feed. So at this point, you know, it's kind of like one of those things when you're like staying up and, you know, it's New Year's Eve or whatever. Like, we're coming up on midnight. Like, you know, we're kind of at that point, like, we're already up way too late. But let's get the benefit of being up that late. So I'm going to go ahead, you know, at this point I'm done. I'm going to shut everything off. But I'm going to go ahead and wait around and, you know, 3 more minutes. And then we're just going to, I don't know, enjoy the fact that our crops will be growing. So I'm going to go get myself in the middle of the field, and we'll go from there. All right, so we're coming up on midnight here. I know they talked about some additional changes to field info, but the one thing that I've never noticed in it before is that third one from the bottom, growth stage, where it's telling us we're at 2 of 5. So this is actually really nice, because rather than sitting there and doing what I've done before, which is dragging the field over, looking at the green gradient and saying, oh, I'm close, ooh, I'm close. Like, this is clearly showing me where we're at. Look, hey, sorghum. And here we go. We've changed to 3 of 5, so that's why I started talking to you a little bit before midnight. So I'm assuming these go up by the day. But the thing I noticed as I ran along is, like, sorghum only has 4. So it was 1 of 4. Now it's 2 of 4. So, you know, the benefit, I think, is, like, if we go look at the calendar for sorghum. So here's the calendar for sorghum. So if this proceeds as I think it's going to, this will be 3 of 4, this will be 4 of 4. Now, again, it won't be able to be harvested until it gets here. But I think what that is teaching me is that when I go ahead and work on various crops, you know, that helps if I can understand that sorghum has 4 growth stages, potatoes have 5, and then up here, soybeans have 6. So those take a little bit longer. So these were 1 of 6, now they're 2 of 6. You know, and the good thing is everything's 50% fertilized. You can see the yield bonus is up to 75, so all excellent stuff. And if I go back here, now we're 2 of 6, 3 of 6, 4 of 6, 5 of 6, 6 of 6. So I'm just barely going to make it with soybeans, even though I planted the first day, where what I think I'm learning is because I planted here, like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, which means if I plant here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, I can literally plant at the end of the window here and harvest, where here, if I plant, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would be able to, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, because I'm showing up a day ahead. So, you know, it's just I have that extra day to harvest the soybeans, but I should always pop earlier than that, because I don't think anything works any differently than that. And same thing with potatoes. You know, like even if I had planted here, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess it's 5. Potatoes have the 5 cycle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would hit the first day regardless of when I plant my potatoes. And then I always have the 2 extra days to harvest, which is great given that it takes forever to plant potatoes. So again, you know, we've got some pretty close crops here. We've got soybeans, sorghum, and then potatoes that we can see out there in the distance. So, you know, on foot, it's still a long way, so it gives you a little bit of an understanding of what we've got, and you can see how vast this potato patch is. So that's where I'm thinking we're going to get a lot, but, you know, maybe not. The required tires is interesting, all tires and tracks, so I don't know what that tells me. Maybe once it gets into a deeper growth stage, it's going to start saying narrow tires. But those are things I hadn't seen before, certainly. Oop, scared those crows out in the middle of the night. I guess I'm my own scarecrow, right? So, pretty interesting stuff. So I'm glad we, you know, not only was it fun, but staying up past midnight and seeing these things pop, but, you know, it's pretty sweet. And again, I'm not seeing any note about weeds. So I'm thinking we might be able to skip weeding this year, so even though we've got extra work, like we can avoid that job. So all in all, this is actually lining up really, really nicely. I'm really kind of happy about this. And you know what else I'm happy about? I love these lights I put in. I just, you know, I've kind of taken them for granted, but the fact that the yard here, the yard there, like if you go back to the early videos on this farm, when I moved into Shellbrook, it was dark in here. You know, I mean, I don't need my flashlight. I mean, really, you can, I mean, there is an effect, but it's simply because this side of the harvester is in shadow. But if I'm here, like, you know, I guess there's still an effect, but whatever. I'm happy that I can see without having to have a flashlight. How about that? So anyway, whoops. I see that I'm going to have a dead battery if I'm not careful. So let me turn that off. If only that happened, but it doesn't. But anyway, it doesn't mean I shouldn't play realistically. So my nice Mack truck, sitting there enjoying the last day of spring that has just come upon us. And we'll be back here probably in the morning to do some fertilizing. But right now, I'm going to go get some shut-eye, and I'll see you next time.